and welcome back. In today's Canvas tip, I'm going to show you one of the awesome things in Canvas that you are surely going to utilize, and that is Canvas modules. So modules in Canvas are the one singular way that you can organize your course in Canvas Learning Management System. So this is slightly different than what we see on It's Learning. On It's Learning, you could organize your course into folders. You could use the It's Learning plans or planner, or you could even use the It's Learning Learning Paths feature. So if you're thinking, well, there's only one way to do things in Canvas, does that limit me? No. Basically, Canvas modules have all of those It's Learning features baked into one tool. And because it is one way to organize your courses, it makes it easier for you and your students to follow along because it does create a little bit more consistency from course to course. And there are some fantastic features out there that I'm going to showcase for you today as it relates to Canvas modules. Anything from being able to set prerequisites so students can't move ahead a step in a module until they've met certain criteria. You can unlock and lock modules for students to see them or to not see them based on a certain timestamp or day. You can even set it up to where as students complete different things in the modules, based on how they do, you can redirect them to additional resources like remediation and lots of flexibility and options there. So they truly are powerful tools. In this short video, I'm only going to scratch the surface of them, and there's even more training to come down the road. So I hope you're excited about this feature because they are pretty fantastic. So to start off in Canvas with modules, and if I want to, showcase to you how you can build them, first thing you need to do is sign in and go to a course in Canvas. And remember, you can get your courses from the dashboard button here on your menu or the courses button. Same for elementary, and for secondary elementary, it's just called home instead of dashboard. All right. So I'm going to jump into a course right now, and then I'll show you what this looks like in the elementary view as well. So here is an example of a course that I've built out to have more of the secondary view. And modules are something that I've pulled up here towards the top of my course navigation menu. And that's really a best practice, is to have home, announcements, modules, assignments, and grades is being active features in your course, and hiding the rest doesn't hide them for you as the teacher. It just hides them from students so they can't get lost in these other areas and tools and jump ahead in your course where you don't want them to. On the elementary side of things, modules are going to be across the top here. It basically takes that navigation menu that we have in secondary and puts it horizontal versus vertical. And it scales things down a little bit. So in a previous video, I showed you how to make a home page, and that's what I've set up here in the elementary view. And this lessons button takes me to the modules that I've built out in this course. On my secondary course example here, same thing. I have set up a home page here in the course. And if I scroll further down, it takes me to modules. And I even have them hyperlinked here again, just because I like to be clear to my students and put it on here a couple times so that really no matter where they click, they're going to get to the resources that I've created for them, just as a best practice. So when we think about a module, it is the one way that you organize content in Canvas. And there's a couple ways that you can do this, and it really just depends on your preferences. So the way that I know my mind works when I build out lessons and content is that I like to build the module, give it a title, and then start building resources as I go. But if you're someone who likes to go out and make an assignment first, because you know this is what you want students to do, and then maybe you build a page that has a lot of the content and information for the day, then you can add those all into a module afterwards. So it doesn't matter what order you build these in. You can build them on the fly as you go, or you can build your module after you've built out some of the other resources. So in terms of Canvas and what a module really is, it is the organization structure, the way that you organize your content, your lessons, your assignments, your resources for students. And everything can go into a module, and you have flexibility in how you'd like to order those different resources. So I want to show you a few examples here because I feel like that's helpful before I show you how to build one itself. So if I'm in this sample Canvas course at the moment, and I'm going to go a little bit more of a widescreen view here for you, I filled out a couple modules in this course. So there's more of an introduction module where there's some welcome things from the teacher. This is not something you have to necessarily do, but I wanted to show you some examples of this. And the way that this module is built out is a lot of these right here, these icons will tell you what type of resource it is. So since we're still fairly new to Canvas, you might not have those icons memorized quite yet, but you will quickly have them memorized as we progress. These are all pages, and this is a discussion. So that's a really helpful thing here to just visually recognize those differences. And you'll know that something is published because it has a little check mark here. So this means the students can access any one of these things. And then further down is where you see some additional things and kind of some formatting changes. So I've built out pages here again for the students. I put a discussion in here for them to ask questions as a part of the assignment in this activity. And then I've built an assignment, which is what this icon is. And there's another assignment right after that. So in terms of organizing your modules, there's a little bit of flexibility. So what I have seen a lot of teachers do, and also when talking with other districts, is they make a module for the week, and perhaps there's pages in here for each day of the week. And on that page, you'll see the learning goal for the lesson. You'll see any information this teacher wants to share. And then maybe the next item in that module is an assignment, kind of like what I've done here. So I have my goal here, I have some additional resources, and there's an assignment for this first day of this activity. So because this is a fake course right here, there's not necessarily dates on these items, but that is something that you can do. So that's one way that I've seen people organize content is by week, and they have separate pages and things in here. And that's really kind of similar to what a lot of you have been doing on It's Learning by making a page for the day or for the week and then putting those into folders that are also named after the unit and the week. I would just caution you that if you're putting dates in here, whenever you copy this into your courses for the next school year, because you can copy anything and everything into another Canvas course, you'll just have to go through and make sure your dates are updated to the new school year. So that is one way of organizing this. From the elementary side of things, I've also seen some different ways of doing this as well. So in this example, this was just a science module that I built out, and this was also for that week. So this is for an extended amount of time in the course, and that's just another way that I've seen this is a lot of teachers organize it by week, and they just label some of these pages with the relevant days and times and things like that. What I've seen some elementary teachers do is they also maybe make modules by content area, but that is just up to you on how you would like to do that. Just know that the key thing is that on your course homepage, that it's just straightforward for students to get to the activities, usually with one of these icons. So it's up to you and how you would like to organize them. We just do ask that you have a clear homepage and that there is a direct link on the homepage to the modules in your course so that students know where to go and where that's also where a lot of our other members who might be in your courses know where to go as well. So some of the special education, ELL, iGrad coaches, and TAs, so it's clear to them on how they can go into your lessons so they can better support students in your learning environment. So that's just a little bit of the organization method in modules. You have flexibility on how you would like to do that. A lot of the courses that you'll have active on Canvas right now kind of have a template applied to them already. I'm going to pop into one of those so you can see what that looks like. We built out a template course here for you so that you could see how you could organize your course. And again, this is a lot of text on here just because this is scaffolding. We wanted to give you tips on how you could set up your course, some places where if you get stuck, where you can go for help, just some guidance here because this is a new tool for us. So the way that this template is set up is it's actually applied to pretty much all of your courses that have been generated from PowerSchool. So you'll see just a little intro thing here, and then you'll actually see a sample way that this is a way that you can organize your lessons. So this would be the week, this would be like the day of the week. And here's ways that you can organize those assignments. So again, just showing you some clarity here. This is a space to write the goal. This is the way to link standards if you want them, instructions, and then also a little checklist there if you want to give that to students. All right. And the way that a module works, I'm going to pop over here into one that actually has some content for you. A way that a module works for students is it guides them through the resources step by step. So if you want to contain a lot of your content onto a page in the module, that means that you could really take students anywhere with a page. You can link to an assignment. You can link anywhere and everywhere you want. So on this page, I've pretty much linked out everything the students need for the course. I have the goal here. I have an intro. I have resources and a checklist for them. And then as they get to the bottom of the page, they see this next button. That's basically me telling them where to click. The modules are set up to where it's step by step. So once students scroll down to the bottom of the page and they've read through everything, then they click next, and it takes them to the next item that you have put in place for them to access. So for this next one, it's just a little interactive lecture we have and some resources, and then they actually get into the assignments. So some questions that I've gotten from teachers as we've been training on this is, do I have to put the assignment in the module? Like, does that have to be a next step? Technically, no, but I think it makes sense to do that because modules are designed to be sequential. So it makes sense to put the assignment here so that you can reference that and students know that's something that they need to do for this activity and this lesson. You could just link it on a page, but it is really best practice to put it here in the module for the students to access in that order because it just gives some guidance on when you expect that to be done in the sequence of activities in that lesson. So that's just an example of a module here and just some different resources I wanted to show you in one. And it's really the same for this elementary course example I have here as well. It takes students to this little sample science module that we've built out. And students go through and do this little activity here related to endangered species. This is really the overview. It has the goal for the lesson. Students click next. And they go through this activity here. So the way that this particular module is built up is there's options for students. So in the spirit of universal design for learning, if you want to give students flexibility, you can still do that in modules. So the students here could read, they could watch a video, they could listen, or they could look at a website that has more information. So you can still easily build in different options here along the way. So when it comes to building a module, I'm going to show you how you can do that. So if I go to any one of my courses, it'll probably take you to your home page first. If I'm on the secondary, so the middle and high school view on Canvas, it's under this little menu here. I'll go to modules. And then like many tools in Canvas, it's just the plus button up here is how I can start creating. So if I click the plus button, I could name this Unit 4. All right. And that's how I can name my module and then start building and going. If I am in the elementary view and I want to start building a module, whenever I get to the home page for my elementary course, there's two ways that I could go about starting to build a module. I can click this modules button and I can see them there and I can start creating because I have the same little plus button there. Otherwise, I could technically click manage subject and it goes into the more of the similar view that secondary has. And I can go to modules here. This is more clicks. So maybe you don't want to go this way, but I can click the plus button, give it a title and start building there. So that is flexibility in how you would like to organize this. So if you're doing the type of module where you kind of build as you go, this is how you can do this, but I'll also show you how you can add in resources that maybe you've already created if you worked ahead. These buttons here, maybe you won't see them if this is your first time building a module for a couple of different reasons. So a prerequisite, if you're wondering, basically, like the name implies, makes it so that students can't start this Unit 4 module until they've done certain steps beforehand. So the benefit of a prerequisite is that if you don't want students to move on to Module 4 until they've done Module 3, you can set that as a standard here, and they won't even be able to click it and open the resources. So it basically locks it down until they've done some prerequisite steps beforehand. You'll only be able to use the prerequisite feature if you already have one module built, because you can't pick a prereq if you don't have one built. So the first time that you use this, it might not show up because you have to build out one beforehand. The other thing that's cool here is that lock until basically means that this is hidden from student view and they can't access it and start working on things until you decide a go live date. So if you work ahead and start building things, but you don't want students to jump ahead, but you also don't want to go through and have to remember to publish things, this is your tech tool that you will probably love. So basically what this does is just locks it down for students access until you decide that they can access it. So just another helpful hint there. And another way that you can keep things hidden from students if you work ahead is just keeping it unpublished. So if you unpublish a module, then students can't start on that, can't look at the resources. It's kind of the equivalent of things being active or inactive on its learning. All right, so that is just a little helpful tip I wanted to give you about modules and just some of the vocabulary associated with them, but those are also specified in our training slides and in the Canvas guides if you're wanting to see some of those. All right, so that is that. The other thing I will tell you that as you start building a module is that you can add requirements to items within a module. So that is slightly different than a prereq. A prereq is basically that you can't start module 2 until you finish everything in module 1. A requirement is for individual items. So to start building a module again, we gave it a title, we did the little plus button, and we can start building. So kind of a cool feature there. And I think I actually clicked out of what I was trying to show you. So if I click the plus button, we're going to make this week 5. That's actually what it is. All right. I'm going to click add, and then it puts it there at the bottom. If I wanted to rearrange this to maybe where the most recent modules are at the top, you can drag and drop and move those around however you would like. And that's that's the order that it appears for students. So to start building in this module, this is a little deceiving. You don't want to click here where it says drop files. That is just going to open your computer for you to upload files, which you can do, but maybe that's not what you want as an element in your module. To truly start building in this module, we're going to click the plus button here. And this is where we have options to build as we go, create things on the fly, or pull in resources that we've already created ahead of time. So right here is the drop-down menu, and this lets you select what type of item you want to add to this module. So my mind always defaults to picking a page first, but you can select anything. So if I've already made a page, this shows the list of every page that is currently active in this course. So I can select which one I would like. If not, then I don't have to pull from this list. If I want to make a new page, I'll just select create page. And this is how I can build as I go. And I have to give the page a name here. Technically, I don't have to. I can click add item, but it's best if you give one. And then indent just adds a little visual here for students as they go through. One of the things that I like to do in courses is I always indent my assignments and things that students have to submit. So it stands out visually to them if they're just skimming through the number of things in the module itself. But that's not something that you have to do. Whenever I'm finished, I click add item. And I could go to this page from now if I click the name of it, and I can start editing and writing my goal for the day and putting all of those things. So pretty cool there. And I can see, I can copy this. So once I get going with some of these modules, I can make copies of pages and add them in all over the place if I want. So if I click the back button, it takes me back to this module screen, but I can also get to it from modules. And this is the same for elementary. So if you're an elementary teacher, same settings and things apply here to you, same process. Now, if I want to add my next step in the module, let's add an assignment. So same thing here. I can pick from assignments I've already built out. So if I want to add this Nile vocab assignment, I can do that. Otherwise, I can do create, give it a name, and I can go from there. For this one, I'm going to select one I already made. I'm going to indent the level because that's my personal preference. And I can select add item. All right. So this item was actually in a module already, so it's published, but I can unpublish it from here. So again, some of the settings and options that you have here, I can move things around if I want to. I can decrease this indent or increase it. So if I decided I want the Nile vocab to be before my goal and instructions, I can do that. Drag and drop is really, really easy. Now, whenever I get to where I want to make this module active for my students after I've added everything that I need to, and it publishes everything in that module if I do that on this name of the module itself. If I unpublish, it doesn't do that. It keeps these active. So I have to go individually back and do them. If I want individual items to be published, I can publish them, but students won't be able to necessarily easily get to those in the order that you want. So I always like to publish the whole module. And then if there's things further down I don't want them to get to quite yet, I can unpublish those and go from there. But that is how you can easily build a module. You can just keep going, adding more steps in if I would like. If I want to go in and look at this assignment and change some of the settings, I can easily do that. I can publish it from here. Lots and lots of cool things I can do. So modules are pretty amazing and that they're powerful, and you can add in different criteria to them. You can lock them at those prereqs. So it's a little bit easier for students to know when there's a clear stopping point. If you want to get some best practices as well, I've tried to model some of those things here. So I like to add in a page that says like, oh, you're finished for the day when they get to a certain point, and maybe send them to additional resources for fun and for studying. But that's just my personal preference. Elementary, it's the same for you. I've built out an example here where students have some assignments and things, and they go through the module, do these different activities. There's a quiz in this one just because I wanted to show some examples of what that looked like. And just an example here of that module. And again, it's the same thing. They click through, next button as well. And when students access Canvas on their phone, it's the same view for them. So very consistent across devices, whether they're on a Chromebook, iPad, phone, Windows device. It is a very clean look with that next button, and they progress through those steps. So if I wanted to add prerequisites to a module or add requirements, you can do that at any point in time. Obviously, it's better to do that before students start on it. But after I have given the module at least a name is when I can add in some of those features. And remember, you can't add prerequisites until you have at least one module built already, because there has to be a step before you get to the second step. So if I want to change my example here, where I have built out a module, like let's go back to one that I already made. So for module 4, week 4, if I click the plus button, I can add more things to it, but let's just change the settings of this module to where I can add in some prerequisites as well as requirements. So if I click edit, all right, I can add a requirement or a prereq. So a prereq is basically where students can't get to this module until they've completed a module beforehand. So if I add a prereq here, I can select they have to finish module 3 before they can even access module 4. And if I want to add even more, maybe I have to do module 2 because I just want them to jump ahead, and module 1, and there we go. The requirements piece means that students have to complete certain items before they can get to others, and I can specify things in order. So this is really applying to items within the module itself, as I had stated. So I can decide here that students have to remove through everything in order. They can't jump ahead. And if I want to give students some flexibility, this is a place where you can do that. So this little checkbox here basically says that if I don't want students to do things in order, if I want them to complete at least one item, this is where you can build in choice. So if I want to give my students the option to maybe do a project or take a quiz, this is where I can do that. Maybe I build out a quiz in Canvas and I put it in this module, and then maybe I build out the project option, which is in the form of a Canvas assignment. Then what I can do is decide they have to complete at least one of these requirements, aka they have to do one of these assignments. So I can say they have to do the quiz. They have to submit it. I can even say I want them to score a certain thing, and if they don't meet that score, then maybe the next thing they get is a review item. Up to me. I'm just going to have them submit it. So, and if I want the other thing to be that they have to do this project, then I can specify that. All right. So they have to do at least one of these things. If they don't do either one of these things, then they can't be finished with the module and they can't, move through my course. So requirements are a way to kind of just lock down some of the settings for the students, but I also see it as a great way to give students choice in modules, because you can decide, all right, if you want to take a quiz, I need you to turn that in. Here's the option. If you want to do the assignment, here's the option. So again, you have some flexibility in how you would like to do that. If you only put one assignment here, then that's really the only thing that students have. So it's not so much of an option, which is why I did 2. And if you want just students to do things in order, then you're going to eliminate some of those choices too, because it means they have to go through every option in there. So that is something that you can do in the edit settings part of a module. It's just a 3-dot button and edit. You have to have a title for the module before you can go through and do all these things. But I thought I would share that as a really powerful feature in modules that kind of mimic some of the things we saw on It's Learning Paths. So this is just touching the surface on modules. We will do more in-depth trainings as this goes on, but this is the way that you organize your content in Canvas, and I hope you are excited about its features.